What's going on, people?
So yeah.
Break 6 starts here. Today is Friday, the 2nd of September, and we have just fueled up, and the journey starts here at Shell. Not Shell, Jet.
Load spot. Let's hope it doesn't end at Shell.
That's not. That's about that way. I need to go that way. So now, inshallah, the plan is to vlog this whole trip. I've not done that before. Normally it's just a review on what the bike's like. I'll show you the setup of the bike a little bit later on, what I've got. But the plan is, certainly for this run, to take Hawa on a 2,500 mile run across Europe. So we've got France, Germany, Italy, down to the bottom of France again, all the way back up. So a 2,500 mile round trip. And let's see how she gets on. That's my top box, make sure that it sticks. And yeah, updates to follow, people. We start our journey. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. سبحان الذي سخر لنا هذا وما كنا له مقرنين وإنا إلى ربنا لمنقلبون. اللهم اغفر لنا لما مضى ما قدمنا وما أخرنا وما أسررنا وما أعلنا وما أنت أعلم به منا. أنت المقدم وأنت المؤخر وأنت على كل شيء قدير. اللهم بلغنا مقامنا بالخير والعافية وارجعنا إلى أهلنا بالخير والعافية. اللهم بارك في سفرنا وعافنا من كل جانب ومن كل سوء. اللهم بارك في حياتنا ومالنا وأولادنا إنك لعلى كل شيء قدير. اللهم حبب إلينا الإيمان وزينه في قلوبنا وكره إلينا الكفر والفسوق والعصيان واجعلنا من الراشدين. Okay, folks, so welcome aboard the Suzuki Hayabusa 2021, and a short introduction to the purpose of this video. Now, there's lots of videos available on the internet offering initial reviews, first time rides, all of that kind of jazz regarding the Hayabusa, and I'm not intending for this video to be one of those. Rather, I've bought the bike, this is my bike, and I'm a bit of an impulse buyer, and I suppose this leads into a disclaimer that I'm somewhat of a huge Suzuki Hayabusa fan. I've had all three generations. The first generation bike was a 2004 Stealth model, and this is what she looked like, an absolute stunner. And I had her for a few years until I was knocked off her, but undeterred, I got back on again and bought the Gen 2 2008 Hayabusa, and this is what she looked like. Absolutely amazing. And on both of those bikes I'd travelled across Europe. I was obviously much younger back then, about 7 or 8 years younger, and the aches and the pains weren't as prominent as they are now, or I wasn't aware of them as I am now, so it wasn't too much of an issue. And I've covered this in one of my other videos regarding the review of the Busa, which is available somewhere up here. You'll be able to see it. It's on the channel somewhere. And I decided that I was going to go naked, and I bought an S1000R, and that was an incredible bike as well. And again, I took that on a 2,500 mile trek across Europe, done Route Napoleon, done Stelvio Pass on that, and it was absolutely incredible. Again, the review for that is floating around here somewhere as well, check it out. But I really missed the power of the Busa, and I thought to myself, well, you know, what am I going to get? I was so impressed by the S1000R. What would I get after that? And the R spoilt me a little bit with all the gadgets and gizmos that it had, particularly around cruise control and the quick shift. So I sat on it and thought for a while, and I ended up considering the H2SX SE, but that was tipping the other side of about 14-15 grand at that time, and I didn't really have those kind of funds. So I decided to buy an S1000 XR instead, which was, you know, much more adventure style. I'm not sure what BMW Motorrad referred to it as. I think it's an adventure sport bike, but that was a revelation in and of itself in terms of speed, performance, power and comfort. And by the way, the XR looked like something like this. Well, not something like this, that's actually my bike, but unfortunately that was stolen from my house. after the road trip that we did to Spain in 2021, so last year. We done the Pyrenees, Spanish Pyrenees, and that was wonderful on that bike. I think RJ Raw Jordanian done a review of the S1000 XR, and he mentioned at one point that it's a little bit boring, and it can become like that because it's probably a little bit too good for what it's supposed to do. But that's a separate conversation, and I suppose that's a review of that bike. So the purpose of this was, at the time that I bought that, I learned that a new Hayabusa was launched, and the Gen 3 was to go on sale soon. And I sat on it for about 12 months around thinking, well, what am I going to do after the XR was stolen? And I decided to commit to it and thought, right, you know what, I'm gonna buy the third gen just because I'm in love with the bike. And every bike that I had after my Gen 2, I'd compare it to the Hayabusa. Maybe the Hayabusa fans know what I'm talking about, but that's just how I was. I'd get on the 1000R, yeah, but it's not a Hayabusa. XR, yeah, but it's not a Hayabusa. I bought an RR for about 4 days as well. I thought, you know what, it's just not the Hayabusa. So I was going to end up buying the Hayabusa at some point anyway, so I decided to commit to it. So the purpose of this video is to see how the Gen 3 fares compared to the Gen 2 and also compared to the XR, appreciating that the XR is a completely different bike. But you know, I'm 43 years old, there or thereabouts now, and getting on a little bit, and the aches and the pains, as mentioned, become a little bit more, you're a bit more conscious of them. So how does it feel to get on the saddle of this bike day after day, to knock out about 300 miles a day through various different routes? And that's what the purpose of this video is. It's going to be a kind of reflection of the road trip, and how we're feeling, and the excitement and the joy or the pleasure or the displeasure of being on the bike for such a period of time. So the route was intended to be a 10-day route, but weather stopped us, poor weather stopped us, so we weren't able to do the Great Alpine Road, and we weren't able to do Route Napoleon. Route Napoleon I'd already done in 2020 on the 1000R, and it was wonderful, but I wanted to experience it on the busa. Never got the chance this time around, maybe next year. And similarly, the Great Alpine Road we've never done, so again, one for next year possibly. So the route that we ended up doing was the first day taking the road from Birmingham to Folkestone, then from motorway all the way, and then from Folkestone stopped at Calais in order for us to get started, and then from Calais we rode to a city called Metz in France, and that was predominantly A roads, dual carriageways, and I think a little bit of motorway as well, just to get to the destination. And then from Metz we ran through to Baden-Baden in Germany, and ended up going via the Black Forest, through the Black Forest, and stopping at a place called Laufenburg, which was absolutely beautiful. And then from Laufenburg, on day 3 we headed to Stelvio Pass, Italy, and that was probably the best day of the trip. And that was all twisties, and Stelvio is tight twisties. So we had, on this run, the long sweeping bends and the straights from the dual carriageways, and from like the Black Forest roads, and also from some of the routes that we had on day 4, which was into the Dolomite region. And then day 5 was coming back home, or heading towards Reims and coming back home. So that's the overview of this video. It's going to be a comparison to see how we feel. At the end of each day I've tried to give an honest reflection of how I'm feeling, and there'll also be some footage of the twisties and how the bike handles around the twisties. I'm in love with it, still am, but I'll let you folks kind of decide for yourselves. Hope you enjoyed the video, and welcome your thoughts. Cheers guys.
Right, after what is an epic day 0, we've landed here at Folkestone, waiting to board. There's my naughty little plaything. There's Zul's. There's Jamil's. And now it's just a conversation around getting off at the other end, finding our hotel, unwinding from today and prepping for tomorrow, which is going to be day one of Brexit. Let's go, people. To be honest with you, it was a bit of a rude awakening today, driving down or riding down to Folkestone from Birmingham, roughly about 200 miles. It's taken me about 6 hours to do, stops and all, but you realise how much of a different position it is from the XR, and the XR sport me a little bit, I think. But the saving grace for this is the cruise control. So the cruise control is a godsend. I don't know how I managed without the Gen 1 and the Gen 2 cruise control, but what it does is allows you to shake off your right hand and just relax a little bit. But yeah, let's see what day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10 looks like. We've got some amazing routes on this trip, but we'll break that down day by day. So watch this space, people. There's the boys, there's the bikes, Aprilia 1100 vehicle factory, and off the top there we've got the busa killer, the ZZR 1400, man. We've got some amazing roads that we're going to run on this trip, and hopefully I'll get some action cam footage for you as well, man. So catch up soon, folks. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. It is the morning after the day before. This is officially day one of Brexit. Yesterday was day 0, just getting here to Calais. We landed at Calais yesterday at a reasonable time, roughly about 10:30. And now we've got a mission across to, where are we going? It's Metz today, isn't it?
Yeah, Metz today.
We're heading across to Metz today, and the aim is to get from Calais through to Metz, and the journey really starts tomorrow for us in terms of the enjoyable routes. So we've got Metz, Black Forest, Liechtenstein, Stelvio Pass, down into the bottom of
up into Switzerland.
Switzerland, listen, I've seen the Baron's video, man, Baron Van Grumble, and how he got stung with a £3,000, £4,000 fine. Mate, I'm going to be going like about 20 miles per hour through Switzerland. I ain't even going to...
We set up a committee.
Yeah, that's it, we're going to have to start harvesting organs, mate. So yeah, we're going to do Switzerland, then into the bottom of France, and then all the way up through Route Napoleon, stop at Lyon, and then from Lyon it's going to be the jaunt back home. So that's the plan. Just had breakfast, and we're staying at the, where is it, Formula 1?
Formula 1.
The Formula 1 in what's it called, in Calais, and it's a decent little hotel. To be honest with you, there's fairly secure parking. Oh, just seen a brother with a Gen 1 Hayabusa. It's a fairly decent hotel, nice, clean, tidy, breakfast is okay, secure parking, and it's close to the Eurotunnel, which is just what you need. So we've had breakfast, I've had breakfast. I'm feeling a little bit sore after yesterday's run. That's probably because I haven't ridden the busa for a long time. The first major trip that I had on it was when I bought it from Romford, Triumph in Lind, and rode it back to Birmingham, and I haven't done many miles on it since then. So today, yesterday was the first long run. It was almost 200 miles, and we've got how many miles today, Jamil?
400 plus.
400 plus miles today.
200 miles yesterday.
So 200 miles yesterday. So yeah. Oh my goodness me. So it should be fun, but you know, you'll get an idea of what it's like to live with the Hayabusa. Coming off a XR, my God, I'm missing the XR. Let's put it that way. You don't appreciate how much of a I suppose sports bike position it is until you spend that long time on it. But it's so much fun, man. My God, honestly, it's so much fun, and that's where the trade-off is. So anyway, I might feel the differently towards the end of it. Let's see what happens, but stay tuned, folks.
So day 2, no, day 1, sorry, comes to an end on the Busa, and just checked into the hotel. I'm at the Ibis in Metz, the Centre Grande, I think it's called, which is okay, a little kind of budget hotel, does what it needs to. Bikes are secure, main thing, because they've got off-street parking in their own little compound and complex, so the bikes are safe. And the Busa, wow, so second full day on the Busa. We've done roughly about 300 miles on her today, and you know, generally speaking, it's been brilliant, because, you know, it's nostalgic. I've had the first gen, I've had the second gen, and absolutely loved both of those, and getting onto this was like, you know, putting your hand into a familiar glove, perhaps one of your favorite gloves, and it was brilliant. You know, the speed, the power, the performance, the way that it just sits on the road, and how it just sits at speed comfortably. Engine's not straining, you're not in any vibrations, you're not having to fight with the bike, right, to keep it and maintain it at speed, like you do with, you know, certainly nakeds, and also to a degree the XR. So this is a reflection based on the XR, and now don't get me wrong, right, the XR was brilliant because it was just so comfortable, and it spoils you in many respects, because you have performance and you also then have comfort as well. But it's a trade-off, because the higher end speeds, the top end speeds aren't there. And don't get me wrong, that will still be good for 150, 155, but it will scream at that range, whereas the Busa is, you know, just, yeah, give me more. 140, 150, 160, just keeps going, and it feels so planted on the road. It's absolutely brilliant. But it's a contrast. So coming off a XR onto a Busa, how does it feel? And the first day 0, riding from Birmingham down to Folkestone, I really felt it. I was a little bit sore, a little bit achy, and in all honesty, I was kind of looking forward to the day coming to an end. But then I got back on her this morning, from Calais, and rode down Metz, and it was pretty much motorway riding all the way down, just to break the back of the journey, so we can get to the you know, the Black Forest route into Liechtenstein, down into Stelvio, you know, Route Napoleon, and the Alpine route, the kind of stuff that we want to do. So we just sat on the motorway for about 300 miles, and you know what, it was brilliant. Absolutely loved it, and I don't think I would have been able to do it if I didn't have the cruise control, because that takes so much pressure off your wrists. And I know there's other people that have done reviews on the bike, and they've said that you know, you can sit on it comfortably for a couple of hours, and you probably can if you've not had an adventure style bike. If you've had an upright bike, or a naked bike, a more comfortable naked bike, or adventure style bike, you're really going to feel it. You're really going to feel it. And the cruise control was an absolute godsend, because you're able to take your left hand and right hand off, you know, not at the same time, but left and right hand off alternately, and just give yourself a little bit of relaxation and rest. You're not constantly having to hold it in that position, and when you feel as though you're on top of the tank, it's you know, constant pain on your wrist. So the cruise control is absolutely brilliant. I don't know why Suzuki didn't make it adaptive. Maybe that's for the next gen and the upgrade, but as it is at this moment in time, it's fantastic. Having said that, right, you know, I think that the stuff on the Busa, the tech that it's got at the moment, is just keeping up with the market. You know, you look at the 1000 R1000 R1000 XR for the BMW, that just, you know, has been there for a while. Cruise control's been there for a while. The auto, the quick shift and the auto blip has been there for a while, and the Busa's just getting that at 2021. So it's been in desperate need of this tech, and that's just helped it just to get up to standard, not exceed the standard, just get up to standard. But it helps certainly people like me, mid-40s now, trying to relive nostalgic moments of years gone by, of the Gen 1, where you didn't have any of that. Gen 2, you didn't really have any of that either. All you had was a little bit of ABS and 3 power modes to choose from, and that was it. And my Gen 2, don't get me wrong, I loved it, and I've done 2 Brexits on the Gen 2, and I've done 1 Brexit on the Gen 1, but I don't think I'd be able to do this kind of mileage now
on those bikes, not the way that my body is, and I'm a little bit older and all the rest of it. So I need all of that tech that they've given me to help me do the miles. And you can do the miles, so you put on the cruise control, you can run for a couple of hours, get off, shake off, fuel up, and then get back on again, and away you go. 20-minute, half an hour break, and you can cover the miles out. So we've covered 300 miles today, and I feel okay. I don't feel as though I'm hating the bike and all the rest of it. Now, maybe this is a conversation that I need to have with my arse, but it is the seat I feel as though is sore. But having said that, I've had a problem with every seat that I've sat on. Doesn't matter what it's been. You know, that I put jelly inserts and foam toppers onto my 1000R. 1000RR was tough as well. XR was better because it was sculpted, but I still felt sore after that. After a few hours in the saddle as well. So maybe it's just my posterior that is problematic. But Motsic, what I found that the seat is really uncomfortable after about an hour or so. So I'm going to have to look at doing something like that. The great thing about it is that it's such a big seat, so you can slide forwards, backwards, to the left, to the right, to alleviate the pressure. I was doing my Superman's, legs out, the whole thing, just trying to get comfortable and take the pressure off. But you know, it's a good seat in terms of size. Maybe just needs to be a little bit softer. Yeah, so day one comes to an end. It's been pretty much motorway riding all the way, so I didn't really film any of that because it's boring. Tomorrow, however, it's going to be interesting. So the action cams will come out tomorrow, and we'll get an idea of how it handles around the twisties and the sweeping bends, and what else is there? Yeah, the hairpins. So that's going to be really, really interesting. I'm looking forward to it, and we'll post those vids as they come. So yeah, day one done. Day 0 was yesterday, day 1 done. Day 2 starts tomorrow, and we're going from Metz into the Black Forest route, then across to Liechtenstein. I think I've said that right. So yeah, man, stay tuned, folks. Day 2 coming up tomorrow. It's the end of day 2, and we done the Black Forest today, the route B500, which I thought was a little bit overrated, to be honest with you. I don't think it was fantastic. We done it, it was a bit got to the end of it, and then we carried on to Loafenhaus, which is where we are now, staying at the a beautiful little hotel near the River Rhine, I think it is. Overlooks the River Rhine. Nice little, I mean, it's a little bit dated, but it's a nice little spot. Bikes are secure, bikes are safe, and you know, the community, local community anyway, looks like it's a privately owned little joint. Really, really nice, really hospitable as well. So unwinding from today. We've had a little bit to eat, nothing too heavy, and we've got Stelvio Pass tomorrow. So at the end of day 2, how do I feel? I'm feeling a little bit sore, saddle sore more than anything else. Lower back's a little bit stiff, and maybe just need to do some stretches in the morning and in the evening to help with that. But I've still got another 7 days on the bike. We've covered probably about 285 miles today, which isn't a huge amount, but it's various different kind of twisty roads, as you saw on the footage, and the bike, how it handled, you know, I've covered that on the footage. Tomorrow we've got Stelvio, so we'll see how it deals with Stelvio with the tighter turns compared to the more kind of sweeping turns. And again, all of this is relative to the kind of skill and capability that you have as a rider. I'm not the most capable, I'm not the most skilled. I'm sure the bike is more than capable of, you know, meeting all the needs of all those tracks, but compared to the XR was a little bit light, well, not a little bit, a lot lighter. So this is 265 wet, plus maybe about another 20-25 kg that I've got in my top box.
So that takes it up to what, 290, 300, and then there's me on top of it, which is what, another almost 90 kilos as well. So you know, you're talking about 390 kilos up on top of this bike that you need to shift around, which is quite a bit of weight. And you compare it with the R and the XR, they're going to feel a lot lighter, they're going to feel a lot smaller. You're going to be able to tip them in and throw them in much more easier, because it's a different bike. So you know, I think it's relative. Can the busa do it? Certainly for the sweeping bends like we had today around the Black Forest, all day long. And you know, depending upon how confident you are in throwing it into a corner. Again, you know, I like to take it a little bit more pedestrian pace, even though it's quick and fast and it's a speed demon. You know, I've always got that thing in the back of my mind that, you know, just what if, you know, what if I go in too fast and all that rest of the stuff. And I suppose, you know, that serves me well, keeps me alive, God willing. But yeah, so today was fun. Really enjoyed it. The cruise control is brilliant. Again, I can't speak highly enough of that. And it really makes time in the saddle much more easier and enjoyable for when you've got the long straights. But yeah, day to follow. So day 3 is tomorrow, and tomorrow is Stelvio Pass. I'll let you know how I feel at the end of that.
And as Sister Itchy Boots says, good morning internet. It's day 3 of the road trip, and this is where we are. Look at that. We're in Laufenhaus, and we're on our way to Aldi, because it opens at 8 o'clock, to go and get some breakfast. There are the fellow Brexiteers all vlogging and taking pictures, but just look at that, absolutely beautiful. You know what, I wouldn't mind waking up to this every morning. It is phenomenal. So the plan for today is to go and get some breakfast from Aldi, before Aldi, which opens at 8 o'clock. I'm going to pop to the petrol station, grab a coffee, because I'm having a severe caffeine withdrawal or deficit, and then get loaded up on breakfast, get load up the bike, mine as well.
Today Stelvio Pass rain.
And today we're going to hit Stelvio Pass.
Rain as well and snow.
Rain and snow?
Yeah.
No man.
Stelvio, yeah.
Oh well.
Weather.
Rain and snow, so we're going to get wet and we're going to get cold. But
5 degrees.
mate, I think we'll give Stelvio a miss. But yeah, it's going to be cold, but it should be fun. And let's see what happens. Let's see what happens, folks. Catch up soon. Right then, folks. We've left the hotel outpost, and we're at this shopping complex in Laufenhaus, and we're heading towards Stelvio next stop, and then into Lake Como. It's a long ride today and we're running late, so the time here now has just gone 10 o'clock and we've got roughly about 8 hours to ride non-stop, 8.5 hours actually, so it should be interesting. The community here is lovely, absolutely lovely. Everybody's so hospitable. It's more of an elderly community. It seems like it's on the outskirts, but if you can look behind me, the scenery is phenomenal. But everybody's so hospitable, everybody's so polite, courteous, and it's lovely. It's actually lovely. We had a lovely time here. The hotel's nice. It's okay. It gets a little bit hot. There's no air conditioning in the hotel, but it's clean, it's tidy. Bikes are secure, which is the main thing. So updates to follow. Next stop should be at Stelvio, and this is day 3 of the trip. So far we've done about 900 miles on the busa, and it's fairly comfortable. You get off at the end of the day, you're a little bit sore, but the daytime, you know, you wake up the following morning, you feel fine, you can get back on it, and yeah, it's looking promising so far as a cross-continent mile muncher. Quite happy with it, but let's see what the twisties bring and whether or not I still feel the same after the twisties. So update post Stelvio Pass to follow, people. people, Brexit road trip Hayabusa update. Look at where we are.
And H2SX.
Oh, and the H2SX as well. SE plus.
No, not plus.
Not plus, just the SE. But the busa, you know, the question was, can it handle corners? Oh yes it can. No problem whatsoever. The way that they engineer this machine, the weight just disappears, man, as soon as you start moving. But just look at that beauty, my God. And you get to enjoy scenery like this. It is absolutely phenomenal.
Thanks, thanks.
Anyway, you know, yeah, scenery like that. If that hasn't brought the house prices down, I don't know what will.
This value just gone up 50
Bro,
times, bro.
okay. So listen, we're gonna make our way to Stelvio. We've still got 3 hours to get to Stelvio. So next stop is going to be fuel and maybe a little bit of juice for us, and then on to Stelvio, and then we'll join the twisties in Stelvio. Not sure where we are. This absolutely amazing. This is what it's all about, folks. Can she handle corners? Can she handle turns? Hell yes, she can. And she is amazing. I can't tell you how good she is around the twisties, mate. My God. Hopefully the action cam footage will capture. And here we are at the summit of Stelvio, and my God, she has been phenomenal. These brothers are from Italy, they're on a Panigale and admiring the busa, but she has been incredible. You know, the twisties and on the turns around the hairpins, it just tips in, falls in, and you can take them, especially as you come into Stelvio, you can take the hairpin turns in second as well as, well, first as well as second, and you don't have to worry about the bike stalling on you. There's so much torque at the lower end, it just pulls straight through, doesn't judder, doesn't vibrate, power's always there. My God, am I thoroughly impressed with this. Words can't explain. I mean, when I came here last, I was on the S1000R, absolutely loved that, and I remember thinking to myself that, listen, if I was to sell the S1000R, what would I get next? And I was thinking about getting this, you know, that the H2SX, and I thought, you know what, I want to get one of those. And then they announced the launch of this, they being Suzuki announced the launch of this, and I thought, you know what, I've got to get one of these. And my God, was it the right decision. Incredible. Now maybe I'm still in honeymoon, and I've still got the honeymoon phase, and I've still got the bloody rose tinted spectacles on, but it's taken 3 days roughly to get here. That's been mostly motorway riding. I've got a bit of a sore back because of that. The seat's a little bit stiff, that I mentioned in the other video, but the cruise control really breaks up the weight and makes the the run on the long straights easier. You can lean back a little bit, take your pressure off your wrists, but when you come into roads like this, phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. There she is, guys, the Gen 3 Suzuki Hayabusa. What an awesome machine. Right, now we're gonna grab a coffee, I think, maybe have a cigar to celebrate, don't know, and then down the other side of Stelvio. Oh, I love it. We've just had a coffee at this place, the Solarium Pizzeria at the top of Stelvio. It's owned by a brother named Victor, and he's got a young lad, well, not young lad, fairly middle-aged gentleman by the name of Ahmed from Egypt working with him. And he's a lovely man, and he makes beautiful coffee. So me and Saj, who doesn't normally drink hot drinks or coffee, we've just had a coffee, and now we're going to head back to, well, not back to, we're going to head towards Lake Como, and I think this is going to be like a nice steady ride now.
No.
Alright, forget that idea then.
What we're going to do,
We're going to tank it.
when it's safe to do so,
Right.
we're going to boot it.
When it's safe to do so. Listen, when you've got a license for a motorbike, everything's safe.
Let's go.
Ooh, look at that. Can you see that up there? I wonder what that is. Looks like a castle of some description. But anyway, yes, so busa, road trip day 3 so far, so good. A little bit sore on the back, but I'll give you a full update at the end of day 3 when we get back to the hotel. Good morning, internet. As Sister Ichibut says, I'm here in Italy, Lake Como, at the camping hotel, kind of. Check that out. It's lovely. It's really nice, and it's just gone 7:30, and trying to find some place to have breakfast. There's a little cafeteria on site that is closed at the moment but opens at about 8:30, but there's also signs for a market that we've seen. Ooh, there's a Jigsaw 1000 as well parked up, so I'm going to have a look around and see what there is as a marketplace, and whether we can, what's it called, make or rustle up our own breakfast. It's probably safer to go with what's in the cafeteria, to be honest with you, but let's have a look. Hang on.
some classic Porsches here. Look at these. Wow, that's pretty. So, end of day 3. This is the beginning of day 4. How am I feeling? A little bit sore today, and not just my cheeks, but actually my lower back. So we've done just shy of 1,200 miles in 4 days. Say market that way. Let's go check it out. So 1,200 miles in 4 days, including the day 0 from Birmingham to Calais, and I am feeling a little bit sore now, especially on my lower back. So today's going to be interesting because we've got the run from Lake Como to the Dolomites today, and then from the Dolomites we're staying in Saint-Laurent, and that will wrap up the end of today's run. Right. Oh yes, there is. Wow. So that will wrap up the end of today's run. So after today we've got tomorrow the Dolomites. Today the Dolomites. I must get hit by a car. Today's the Dolomites. Tomorrow is route Alpine. So it's not far in terms of distance today, but it is long because there's not much motorway routes. It's all pretty much mountain routes. So yeah, a little bit sore, a little bit tired, lower back particularly, and that's because, you know, kind of hunched over. So I am feeling a little sore today, but the bike is incredible. You know, I can't. You expect a little bit of a trade-off with the riding position, because it is a sports bike at the end of the day. You know, if you're coming off an adventure bike, it's a completely different experience, but you don't get the excitement that this busa gives you. And it's a big girl, and she can handle the corners exceptionally well. But yeah, end of day 3, beginning of day 4. Updates to follow, and this shop's open, so let's get some breakfast. Ooh, what's going on, people? Oh, let me set my camera up. End of day 4. What a day. We've done the Dolomites today. Put just over 250 miles on the busa, and we are now in Thonon-les-Bains, I think that's how you pronounce it, at a little cheap and cheerful hotel there to crash down for the night. Now, the plan was tomorrow to do the Alpine route, but the weather forecast for tomorrow and tomorrow being Wednesday and Thursday is torrential rain. There's a thunderstorm coming in apparently, and we caught some of it coming back from Switzerland. We done, you know, as we done the Dolomite route, coming into out of Switzerland, coming into Geneva, and we're on the French side of Lake Geneva. Caught some really heavy rain, and look at that, people. Yeah, I'll get some of those actually. That's how wet it is outside. Look at my fingers and my boots are just as bad. Look at that. Oh my god. That's waterproof. Great. That's waterproof, which is great. But I decided to put summer gloves on and summer boots on. And the rain is unforgiving, man. See that? It's no fun to ride, for me anyway, any bike in heavy torrential downpour. And I'm always a little bit nervous when it comes to riding in the rain, because I'm thinking in the back of my mind, what if the back end slips out, what if I give it too much throttle, what happens if, you know, I have a, what's it called, a slide, or an aquaplane and all that kind of stuff. And I know that these bikes are kind of, you know, up to the hilt with technology and traction control and all that kind of nonsense, but it's still in my mind. And with the Alpine route being a really seriously twisty series of roads as well, our day tomorrow is intended to be about 7-8 hours of riding time, and if you add on rain, that's probably going to go up to about 12 hours, which is a lot. And there's no fun in that ride, that kind of ride, to get to that route, just to get through it for the sake of getting through it, is something we're going to have to think about, but I'm not feeling it at the moment, to be honest with you. So tomorrow will probably be cancelled, depending upon how bad or good the weather is. But that's tomorrow. What about today? So how was the bike today? You know, again, absolutely brilliant. I had the Dolomites today, and the Dolomites aren't as exciting as Stelvio, but still very kind of bendy, twisty. You've got the long sweeping turns as well, and you've got the hairpins as well. I actually like the hairpins more than the long sweeping turns, although I do enjoy the sweeping bends. I just kind of enjoy controlling the bike and throwing it around the hairpins a little more. And you know, the busa was brilliant on that. I'm a little sore today, my lower back. Again, my bum's a little bit sore as well, but I think that's just to be expected on a bike, the kind of bike that the Hayabusa is. But that being said, since Friday, which was when we started the journey, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday and Tuesday, 5 days, put just over 1,300 miles on it. I think we've done about 200 miles, 250 miles today through the Dolomite region, or towards the Dolomite region. The Dolomite run isn't that big, but you know, it's been comfortable. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of shaping up to be a bike that you can tour on if you wanted to, and you could have quite a bit of fun on. What really saves it, and I've said this time and again, is the cruise control, and that allows you to take the pressure off your wrists and you know, just straighten your back out a little bit more. Those of you who feel brave enough, I suppose, can take your hands off the handlebars. I always generally tend to keep one on, even if it's just fingertip control, but allows you to straighten your back out, and you know, that takes the pressure off the lower back as well. So it's, you know, seriously possible, I think. Twisties, brilliant. Straight runs, that's what it's made for. The distance that it covers, you know, quite impressively, I would say. I done about 2.5 hours in the saddle from the last stop that we had in Switzerland to get to Geneva,
the hotel that we're at in Dolomites, about 2.5 hours, and I've done that in one run, which I think is impressive considering the kind of style of bike that it is. So
Okay, so rain stopped play. We decided that we're going to cut the trip short and ditch the Great Alpine Road and also Route Napoleon. So we were supposed to go from Dolomites down to Menton, and then from Menton back up Route Napoleon to Lyon. But the weather was just too difficult. Heavy rain, thunderstorms. So we decided to try and escape the bad weather as much as we could and head back home. So we decided to stop at Reims. We'd already had a booking for the hotel at Reims, so we readjusted things, moved things around. I've got to say the lady that was the receptionist at Ibis in Dolomites was absolutely brilliant. I can't speak highly enough of her. Bent over backwards to try and help us change our bookings around and all of that kind of stuff that she didn't have to do, but just couldn't do enough for us. So folks, I would highly recommend going to the Ibis budget at Dolomites. It's a nice tidy hotel as well, but the staff are absolutely brilliant. So this run is us from Dolomites up to Reims, and then from Reims we just had a run straight to Calais, and then Calais back to Birmingham. So we stopped in Reims overnight, and from Reims it was roughly 2 hours there or thereabouts to Calais, which again was a bit of a wet ride because the weather front started to move up, and generally as you get closer to the UK the temperature dips a lot, and you can feel it, so it was a little bit wet on the way up to Calais. But when we got to Blighty, my God, we got drenched, absolutely drenched, from Folkestone, I would say, all the way up until about Beaconsfield, which is where we pulled in to take a break. And I was wet at a molecular level, put it that way. It was absolutely hammering it down, and it was so bad that you couldn't see the car in front of you from the spray. You couldn't see the bike in front of you, and you're really kind of dropping the speeds down to 40, 50, just to try and keep safe. So that wasn't an enjoyable experience, but nevertheless we were able to make it home. So yeah, the Brexit road trip, Brexit, came to an end. In terms of the bike, well, these are my thoughts. Right, finally back home after an epic 400 miles today, from Reims to Calais, and then from Calais to Birmingham, and irrespective of the Alps and Stelvio and all the routes that we've done, that's probably the best. Huh? This is probably the best feeling.
What?
Coming home to my little booty.
I don't know. Is there a feeling?
Anyway, so 400 miles today, and roughly about 9 hours saddle time, actually in the saddle. So sore, to say the least, but still possible. And the busa, we done roughly 2,083 miles, 2,100 miles there or thereabouts, over 6 days. So just over 300 miles a day, roughly 330 on average. I'm liking it, and I think if they integrate the sat-nav functionality into the TFT, and maybe even raise the bars up a little bit, just a fraction, it's a excellent touring machine, as well as a demon around the bends and the twisties. So what's my rating for the Hayabusa? I'd give it a solid 8 all day long. I think the seat makes it a little bit uncomfortable, considering that it's a 2021 model. The fact that you can't integrate your phone or connect your phone to the TFT menu and all that stuff, I think that's poor. And you know, they should have done better, in all honesty, purely because you don't want to be looking. The only option that you've got is to mount your phone, as mentioned, on the yoke mount, and then when you do that, you're looking down, taking your eyes off the road, whereas you've got the option, or you should have the option, to integrate your phone into the computer system, so you can connect your maps and everything else directly off or read your maps directly off the TFT, rather than off the phone. So on that basis, and I think the seat's a little bit sore, on that basis, you know, I'd give it an 8, but it's a very, very good 8. How is it compared to the XR? You know, it's much more fun, in my opinion, because you've got that top end speed as well. So when you do hit the autobahns, you can really open her up, and 140, 150, 160, no problem whatsoever. In fact, it's confidence inspiring. I think, to be honest with you, reflecting on the Gen 2, the Gen 2 felt more stable at the bigger speed than the Gen 3. Maybe that's just my recollection. But this one certainly feels, you know, solid and planted when you're at those top end speeds, whereas the XR, you get to 150 on the XR and it's screaming at you, you know, and it feels like the whole bike shaking underneath you. And I understand that it's a smaller engine. It's 1000cc 1 litre engine, where the busa is 1340, and the busa is geared differently, torqued differently. It's much heavier, so I understand they're completely different bikes, but just the fun factor when you have the busa underneath you and you've got like an open road that you can really stretch its legs on, it runs, man, and it runs like the bloody wind. And that's what that's what I really missed on the having the XR, and also the 1000R as well. And I found that you can still throw it around as comfortably as you can throw around the XR. The XR is a little bit easier because you've got the higher grips, handlebars, and you can, you know, get more leverage on them. Whereas on the busa you have to work a little bit more, and I felt that, you know, my waist was working as I was trying to throw it around the corners. But when you throw it around the corners, you know what, it's such an amazing feeling. It's not as easy as the R or the XR because it's a much heavier bike, but it's certainly possible, it's certainly achievable, and you know, the run that you have with it is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. The cruise control, I've been banging on about that for the past few days. The cruise control is brilliant. At the end of today, at the end of the 6th day, you know, my back was sore, but bear in mind I've done almost 400 miles on her today, and that's after having done about 1,600 miles over the past 5 days. So I was sore when I woke up this morning. I had some paracetamol and put a back brace on, which is part of the armadillo, you know, back support that I've got, back protector that I've got. Tied that up, and I was able to still do about 350 miles. It really only got uncomfortable for the last 50. And I think that the trick is, if you can take a regular break, either get a specialist seat, get a custom seat made, or a saddleman, or you know, or something that allows you to make the seat a little bit more comfortable without raising you on the actual seat, so you're perching more over the tank. I think that would be great. The cruise control, the seat, those two, a combination of those two things, and you know what, you can tour on that all day long, mate, all day long. So yep, that's my not really a review, my thoughts on a long run for the Suzuki Hayabusa. 2,083 miles over 5 days, 6 days. Can you tour on it? Yes, you can. Should you get one? Yes, you bloody well should. It's an amazing machine. Suzuki smashed it with this one, and I'm looking forward to the upgrade where they bloody integrate the TFT to mobile phone connectivity, and you can actually plot your routes. You know, just take a leaf out of BMW's page, you know what I mean, playbook, and just do what they're doing. If the competition's doing it and you launch a flagship bike, why wouldn't you do the same, or do something better? I can't understand that. So yeah, that's it. Until next time, I'm not sure. Well, I'm definitely going to hold on to this because this is a nostalgic machine for me. You know, I've had the Gen 1, Gen 2, and now the Gen 3. And, you know, if I had the finances, I'd get another Gen 1 and another Gen 2 and just park them somewhere. But I don't. So I'm going to hold on to this one, I think, for as long as I possibly can, as long as my body lets me. And then we'll see what else we move on to. I think after that, it'll probably be an adventure style bike, to be honest with you.
But yeah, hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching. Until next time, bye folks. My bike at the back, you can see the Givi Monarchy top box V47, and massive shout out to Givi for that thing. It's incredible, absolutely incredible. And if I had to buy another one, I wouldn't even think twice about it. I'd buy a Givi top box all day long. And similarly, Givi tank bag as well, absolutely brilliant. I've had both of those on all of my Brexit trips, all 6 of them. So you know what, it's been absolutely brilliant on all the bikes that I've had. I had to doctor the plate from Hepco Becker, and I've got another video for that. You can have a look at that. And that, I was a little bit worried about that, whether or not it would hold up, whether or not it would be strong enough, whether or not it would be secure enough, especially around the bends and at speed. And it held up a dream, absolute dream. And that gave me the confidence that I needed to be able to run my bike the way that I wanted to, knowing that all my luggage is secure. So I fastened the top box, and even though the top box is detachable, I left it on, I didn't take it off. Fastened the top box onto the base plate and left all my stuff in there. And in the evening when I got to the hotel, just took my bag out and boom, away I went. So I left the top box on the bike, obviously took the tank bag off. So there she is. Let me show you my setup and what I did for the trip. This helps, it does help a bit. If you go over, when we were on the autobahns, if you go over 150 or 130, 140, it will just fold, because there's that much wind pressure coming, it will just fold. But up until about 120, 130, you're okay, and it just tapers the wind off a little bit more. What I found was with just the standard screen, and you can probably get a higher screen or a double bubble screen, with the standard screen, my head's roughly there, and the wind just comes straight onto my helmet, and you start buffeting. So this helped. I think I got about 20 quid off eBay. That was really, really helpful. Standard ram mount, that was really useful as well. I think what I'd probably do on the next trip is, I've got a single yoke point here, or yoke stem, and on the XR, what I had was a rail and a bar where I could actually mount multiple things, and I had multiple ram mounts connected onto the bar. Haven't got the opportunity to do that, but what ram mount do is a 3-ball adapter. So 3 1-inch balls in the shape of a triangle. So you can put one into the center using that bracket, and you can get 2 more of those brackets extended arms. And what that then allows you to do, so you can see that there, right? You can get 2 of those, one of those to connect to from the yoke stem to the 3-ball adapter, and then the extended arm, one that way and one that way, to allow you to attach your phone and whatever else you want on this side. It can get a bit busy, but if you're touring, you'd need that. So that was really, really useful. Other than that, I had 2 charging points, one on that side, one on that side, and they were brilliant. They worked a dream. My phone was mounted on here, so my phone was constantly charging with my maps, and then this wire was running it into my tank bag. This is great because the tank bag can zip up until that point. Wire goes through there, so even though it hasn't got any charging ports here, the wire just runs through there, and my phone's in there. Whatever it is that I needed charging, I'd put in there. I had my camera batteries, my action camera batteries as well, that I taped up with a little bit of insulation tape, charged those, and away I went, and that was brilliant. So that was great. Other than that, the setup's pretty basic. It's whatever Suzuki I've prepped. There wasn't much more that needed doing. Now, there has been some conversation. That's the cruise control switch, and also the speed limiter as well. So if you hold it down, you can toggle between speed limiter and cruise control. Now, there was some conversation around whether or not that should be on the accelerator side, whether or not it should be on the instrument cluster on the left-hand side. And if you're used to BMWs, you find it unusual having to switch between that one and that one. But all that this does is just activate it. It doesn't start cruise control. So if you click that, your cruise control will be activated, and you initiate it. You initiate the cruise via that button. Okay, so you set it there, down, and you adjust it up and down. Okay, if you put the brakes on, or if you use the rear brake, or if you change the gear or anything like that, cruise control will go off, and then it's the up button to resume it. So once you get used to it, that works quite well, because everything's on that side in terms of control. If you just want to turn it on and off, there you go.
Now turning it on and off means that you just press it once and it's activated, so if you brake, the cruise control will go off, but it will still be activated. Going off means that your bike won't be in cruise anymore, but if you press that button, you will either set a new pace, or you'll resume back to the old pace. So that works really, really well, I've found. I think that works really, really well. And what else was there? Other than that, just the additional bits. So are mounted. These mirrors are brilliant, actually, by the way. So what I found on the Gen 2 and the Gen 1 was they wobbled and vibrated a lot. These ones are much, much more stable. You can see with clarity people that are behind you. You know, you're not seeing like 2 or 3 cars because the mirrors are vibrating that much. I use one of these brackets to mount my action cam. And a quick tip, guys, so if your mounts are a little bit loose, just put a little bit of insulation tape around either end and you get it nice and tight. So attach the mount for my cam, and that gave me footage that way, and it also gave me footage that way as well. And similarly, mount here, suction cup here. Suction cup wasn't great because I tried mounting it onto the side, and when you put the camera on it, it just pulls off. So I ended up putting a plate on, not a plate, you know, like a bracket there. I ended up putting a bracket on, and then just tied it into that there. So to make sure that if it does drop off, then I don't lose the action cam. And that's it, folks. Other than that, what else? Okay, the seat. Seat is brilliant in the sense of its size. It feels nice and comfortable and soft and spongy. I found it a little bit hard after a couple of hours, and maybe that's a sign for me to get off, stretch, and then get back on again. But you know, it was what it was. The standard seat is comfortable enough, but I'll probably go with some gel inserts because I'm planning to keep the bike. I really, really love the bike. Probably go with some gel inserts and try and make it a little bit more comfortable. Trying to have a look if there's anything else for my touring setup. I don't think there is. Just talk to you about my comms unit. So here you can see that I've got a Yukon 16 device, which is okay. It's not brilliant than I thought. I mean, the mesh tech is good. It needs a bit more sophistication, I think, because you pick up everybody and everything, and sometimes it's not clear. So you know, somebody can be right in front of you, and you're getting all kinds of disruption and noise and all of that kind of nonsense. So it's okay. I mean, you can stay in better comms. It's better than the F5MC interphone, but I think it still needs a bit of work. And that's it, folks. Brexit 6 has come to an end. Incredible machine, man. Absolutely incredible. Fallen in love with Suzuki, Hayabusa all over again. Definitely one to keep, and definitely more missions to come on this. Right then, folks. Hope you've enjoyed it. Ride safe. Stay safe.